The morning sky over Houston was clear and blue when everything changed. In the control room of NASA's Deep Space Network, Alan Wright stared at his computer screen with wide eyes. His coffee sat forgotten beside him, growing cold. "Sir, you need to see this," he called to his supervisor. "We're getting a signal. It's not one of ours." Within an hour, the room filled with scientists and officials. The message repeated every 12 minutes. It came from beyond Mars, beyond anything humans had sent into space. Alan hadn't slept in 20 hours, but he didn't feel tired. After years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, that life had found them instead. "We've translated it," he announced to the room. The message was short: "Prepare for inspection. The Galactic Council will determine your species' status." The president went on television that evening. She looked calm, but her knuckles were white as she gripped the sides of the podium. "My fellow Americans, citizens of Earth, today we received proof that we are not alone in the universe." Around the world, people gathered in homes, bars, and public squares to watch. Some cried, some prayed, some celebrated, most simply stared at their screens in shock. Far from Houston, in the deep waters of the Pacific, a submarine received orders to surface. Its commander, Catherine Miller, read the message twice to make sure she understood. The submarine changed course. 2 days later, people around the world pointed at the sky. Something large had appeared in orbit. It was smooth and silver, shaped like an arrow, and larger than the International Space Station. All attempts to communicate with it went unanswered. Then smaller ships left the big one. They headed for New York, where the United Nations had called an emergency meeting. Catherine Miller now stood behind the president in a room full of world leaders. Her uniform felt tight around her neck. She watched as 3 beings entered the room. The aliens looked almost like humans, but not quite. The first was tall with blue-tinted skin. The second had 4 arms and golden eyes that blinked sideways. The third floated slightly above the ground, surrounded by a faint mist. "We represent the Galactic Council," the blue one said in perfect English. "I am Jex of the Volari. These are representatives of the Ket and Meridian species." The room was silent. Catherine noticed how the alien's mouth didn't match the words they heard. "Your world has reached the development stage where contact is permitted," Jex continued. "All new spacefaring species fall under Council protection and guidance." The president stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth and look forward to peaceful exchange between our worlds." Jex made a gesture that might have been a smile. "You misunderstand. We are not here to exchange. We are here to inform. The Council has claimed administrative rights to your solar system, as is standard procedure." The president's smile faded. "Administrative rights. Yes, your species will continue internal self-governance under Council oversight. We will explain the terms tomorrow. They are quite generous for a species at your development level." As the aliens left, Catherine caught the president's eye. In 20 years of military service, she had never seen such a controlled anger on anyone's face. "Get me our best people," the president whispered. "All of them. Now." Outside the United Nations, crowds had gathered to celebrate humanity's first contact. They didn't yet know that the visitors hadn't come to meet them. They had come to claim them. The next day, the sky over New York turned gray with rain. Inside the United Nations building, Peter Holloway straightened his tie. After 30 years as a diplomat, this was the meeting he never expected to have. "Ambassador Holloway, are you prepared?" the president asked quietly. "As ready as anyone can be for negotiating with aliens," he replied with a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. The doors opened, and the 3 council representatives entered. Behind them floated small devices that hummed softly in the air. "Recording devices," Catherine Miller whispered from behind the president. "They're documenting everything." Jex, the blue-skinned Volari, took the center position. "We will now explain how species integration into the Galactic Council functions." The alien's voice was flat, as he described the galactic order. Hundreds of species, thousands of worlds, all under council control. Planets were sorted by technology level, resource value, and strategic position. Earth is classified as a Level 3 developing world, Jex explained. This entitles you to certain protections and obligates certain contributions. Peter leaned forward. What kind of protections and contributions? The golden-eyed Ket representative answered. Protection from hostile species and cosmic threats. In exchange, newly discovered worlds remain under oversight for 500 standard years. The floating meridian added, this is for your benefit. Many species destroy themselves without proper guidance. Jex activated a hologram showing Earth and its solar system. The terms are simple. Earth will be restricted to its solar system until probationary period ends. All technology development requires council approval. Resources from other planets in your system will be taxed at standard rates, and your world will provide contribution quotas. Contribution quotas? Peter asked. Raw materials, mainly, Jex replied. Also biological samples and cultural artifacts for the council archives. The room grew quiet. The human representatives looked at each other. Peter cleared his throat. These terms seem one-sided. On Earth, agreements are usually reached through mutual discussion and compromise. Jex blinked slowly. These are not negotiable terms, Ambassador. This is simply how the galaxy functions. And if we refuse? Catherine Miller asked from behind the president. The three aliens looked at each other. The Meridian's misty form rippled slightly. Refusal is not an option that has been presented to us before, Jex said. The Council oversees 718 species. All have accepted these terms. We would like time to discuss this among ourselves, the president said firmly. You have 48 Earth hours to prepare your world for integration, Jex replied. We will return then for formal acceptance. After the aliens left, the room erupted in angry voices. World leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to give in. The president raised her hand for silence. We need to know what we're dealing with. Dr. Olivia Reyes, what can you tell us about their technology? A woman with dark curly hair stood up from the back of the room. She had been studying the recordings of the alien ship. They're advanced, she admitted, but not as advanced as they want us to believe. Their ship uses principles similar to theories we've been working on. They're maybe a century ahead of us, not thousands of years. Kyle Bennett, a former intelligence officer, spoke next. I analyzed their political structure from what they said. This isn't about protection. It's about resource control and preventing competition. The president nodded slowly. Then we need time. Peter, I want you to lead a diplomatic team. Keep talking to them. Ask questions, request clarifications. Make it look like we're trying to understand before we agree. She turned to Catherine. Commander Miller, gather our best military and scientific minds. I want options. If they think Earth will simply roll over, they're about to learn something about humans. As the meeting broke up, Peter looked out at the rainy sky. In the distance, the alien ship hovered like a silver dagger above the city. The Council claimed control of Earth today. They had no idea what they had just started. The world changed overnight. As news of the alien ultimatum spread, people reacted in different ways. Some panicked and stocked up on food and supplies. Others held parties, celebrating the end of humanity's isolation in the universe. Religious leaders called for calm. Scientists worked around the clock. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Catherine Miller watched as the world's best minds gathered around a large table. Let's be clear about our situation, she said. We have less than 36 hours before the Council expects our answer. Dr. Olivia Reyes stood up and touched a screen on the wall. Images of the alien ship appeared. I've analyzed their technology as best I could from our scans, she said. Their energy systems are impressive but follow principles we already understand. Their materials are advanced but not magical. Most importantly, their defensive systems seem focused on stopping weapons much more powerful than ours. Meaning what? Asked General Frank Martinez, his weathered face serious under the harsh lights. Meaning they prepared to defend against the weapons they know, Olivia explained. They may not be ready for what humans might throw at them. The room was silent, as everyone considered this. Catherine nodded at Kyle Bennett, who had been studying the council's political statements. Kyle stood up. He had spent 20 years in intelligence before teaching at Georgetown. The council's structure has weaknesses. They mentioned 718 species under their control, but only 3 representatives here. That suggests a hierarchy, with most species having no real voice. He pointed to recordings of the aliens. Notice how the Meridian, the floating one, seemed uncomfortable when they mentioned refusal wasn't an option. There may be division we can exploit. Catherine looked around the room. Options. A scientist from India raised her hand. We could appear to comply while secretly developing countermeasures. Too risky, said a European general. If they have monitoring technology as advanced as their ships, they'll detect any major projects. Unless. Dr. Samantha Ward spoke up from the end of the table. She rarely talked at these meetings, preferring her lab deep underground. Unless we use what we already have. All eyes turned to her. Samantha stood up. In 1997, something crashed in the desert. It wasn't one of ours. Several military officials shifted uncomfortably. This was still classified information. For 15 years, I've been studying the power source we recovered. It uses principles similar to what we're seeing on the council ships. She looked directly at Catherine. They don't know what we've already learned. General Martinez cleared his throat. There's more. Area 51 isn't just a conspiracy theory. We have recovered technology that was not from Earth. We've been reverse engineering it for decades. The room erupted in surprised voices. Catherine raised her hand for silence. So we have alien tech they don't know about. What else? Richard Chen, a quiet scientist from California, spoke up. I've been developing quantum communication methods that should be undetectable by conventional means. We could coordinate a response without them knowing. Catherine nodded slowly. She turned to look at the president, who had been listening silently. Madam President, for the first time in history, humanity might have the element of surprise against an advanced civilization. But we need more time. The president stood up. Then we'll get you time. Ambassador Holloway will leave the diplomatic team. Their job is to appear cooperative but confused. Ask questions, request clarifications, make it look like we're trying to understand their complicated rules. She looked around the room. Meanwhile, I want 3 plans on my desk in 24 hours. First, a diplomatic solution that protects Earth's interests. Second, a defense plan in case talks fail. And third, she paused, a plan to show the council why humans should never be underestimated. As the meeting broke up, Catherine found herself walking beside Dr. Ward. Will it work? Catherine asked quietly. Can we really stand against their technology? Samantha smiled slightly. They clearly haven't studied human history very well. When have humans ever accepted being controlled by others? Every empire in history has learned this lesson. Outside the facility, the sun was setting behind the mountains. On the other side of the world, Ambassador Holloway was preparing to meet with the aliens again. The clock was ticking. But for the first time since the aliens arrived, Catherine felt something new. Ambassador Peter Holloway smiled pleasantly at Chex. The blue-skinned alien didn't smile back. I apologize for all these questions, Peter said, shuffling papers. Our world has many different governments. We need to make sure everyone understands the Council's terms correctly. These delays are unnecessary, Chex replied. The terms are clear. Of course, Peter nodded. Just a few more clarifications. Regarding technology approvals, how long does the Council typically take to review new developments? As Peter kept the aliens talking, something else was happening deep beneath the New Mexico desert. Dr. Samantha Ward swiped her access card at 5 different security checkpoints. Each door was heavier than the last. The final one required a retinal scan and voice recognition. Dr. Samantha Ward. Authorization Omega 7. The massive door slid open silently. Beyond it was a large chamber. In the center, behind thick glass, sat an object that didn't belong on Earth. It was roughly the size of a car engine, but it glowed with a soft blue light. Parts of it seemed to shift and move even when they stayed in place, an optical illusion caused by technology humans were only beginning to understand. Power it up, Samantha instructed her team. Full diagnostics. Across the room, Richard Chen connected his quantum communication device to the alien power source. If this works, he said, we'll be able to coordinate globally without the Council detecting our communications. Similar scenes played out in hidden facilities around the world. In the Russian tundra, scientists worked on gravity manipulation technology reversed engineered from a crash in the 1950s. In underwater labs near Japan, researchers tested hull materials developed from alien metals. What the Council didn't know, what most humans didn't know, was that Earth had been preparing for this moment for decades. Small scout ships had been crashing on Earth since the 1940s. Most were weather monitoring devices or automated research probes, but each one provided pieces of advanced technology. Governments had kept these discoveries secret, even from each other at first. But after the UN Space Treaty of 1967, a hidden clause created a special division to study these technologies. In a secure conference room in Washington, D.C., General Martinez showed the President the full picture for the first time. This is what we've been hiding, Madam President, not from our enemies, but from everyone. He activated a holographic display showing a massive underground hangar. Inside were 7 sleek vessels. Are those? The President's voice trailed off. Spaceships. Yes, ma'am. Built using reversed engineered technology. They're not as advanced as the Council ships, but they're far beyond anything in our public space programs. The President stared at the image. How many people know about this? Fewer than 200 worldwide. The program is called Sentinel. It started as a contingency against hostile alien contact. Can they fly? Are they armed? General Martinez nodded. 6 are operational. They can reach Mars in 3 days. Each carries experimental weapons based on the technology we've recovered. The President sat down heavily. All this time, it was deemed necessary, ma'am. If the public knew, there would be panic, religious crisis, economic collapse. The President looked up. And now? Now it might save us. We've been hiding these ships in underwater bases and inside mountains. The Council scans haven't detected them because they're shielded with the same technology the aliens use. On the other side of the world, Major Lisa Conway inspected her team. 30 soldiers from different countries, all trained in special operations, now prepared for something no human had ever done before. This will be the most important mission any human has ever undertaken, she told them. The Council has a small observation post on the far side of the moon. In 3 days, when Ambassador Holloway meets with them again, we will take control of that post. A soldier raised his hand. How do we get to the moon without them seeing us, Major? Lisa smiled. We have transportation they don't know exists. Above them all, the Council ship remained in orbit, its sensors scanning Earth continuously. They detected military movements, energy fluctuations, and communications, but they didn't detect what humans had hidden from themselves for over 70 years. The pieces were falling into place. Earth was preparing its answer to the Council's demands. And it would shock them. Ambassador Peter Holloway adjusted his tie as he entered the meeting room. This was his 3rd meeting with the Council representatives, and possibly the most important. His job was simple but difficult. Keep the aliens talking while Earth prepared its response. Thank you for your patience, Peter said with a polite smile. Our world leaders have reviewed your terms and have some implementation questions. Jex, the blue-skinned Volari, made a sound that might have been a sigh. The patience of the Council is not unlimited, Ambassador. Your species has already been granted unusual extensions. We appreciate that, Peter nodded. We simply need to understand how to adapt our systems to Council requirements. For example, you mentioned resource taxation. Our planet has 195 independent nations, each with different resource management systems. The golden-eyed Ket representative leaned forward. You will adjust your planetary organization to meet Council standards. This is not complicated. Peter looked confused. But it is for us. Our governments operate on consensus, and our people need time to understand the benefits of Council oversight. Perhaps if we started with a smaller integration program. Behind his pleasant diplomatic face, Peter was buying time with every question. Each minute of confusion was another minute for Earth's plans. The floating Meridian representative drifted closer. Your species' political fragmentation is inefficient. Most advanced species develop unified planetary governance before reaching space. That's fascinating, Peter replied, pulling out a notepad. Could you explain more about how other Level 3 worlds have structured their governance? This would help us understand the best model to follow. As the meeting continued, Peter noticed something interesting. The three aliens didn't always agree. The Meridian seemed more flexible, while Jex wanted immediate compliance. There were tensions he might be able to use. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a secret mission was underway. The submarine surfaced briefly in a remote area. Its top opened, but instead of sailors, a sleek spacecraft emerged. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it. This was Sentinel-3, one of Earth's hidden fleet. Commander Catherine Miller stood on the bridge of the submarine, watching the launch through a special periscope. Sentinel-3 is away, reported the communications officer. Tracking clean. No Council detection. Catherine nodded. Begin Phase 2 preparations. The spacecraft accelerated rapidly, following a careful path to avoid Council sensors. Inside, Major Lisa Conway and her team checked their equipment one final time. Time to lunar orbit. 14 hours, the pilot announced. All systems nominal. Back in New York, Peter Holloway was making progress of his own kind. We simply need time to prepare our world for these changes, he explained, his voice the perfect blend of deference and reason. Perhaps a phased implementation. The three council members conferred among themselves in their own language. Peter couldn't understand the words, but the body language suggested disagreement. Finally, Jex turned back to him. The council will grant a 3-month preparation period. This is most unusual and reflects the council's great wisdom and patience. 3 months. Much less than the year Peter had asked for, but more than enough for Earth's plans. Thank you for your generosity, Peter said, bowing slightly. I will inform our world leaders immediately. As the aliens left, Peter's assistant leaned close. 3 months isn't much time. It's more than we need, Peter replied quietly. The Council is used to dealing with unified species. Earth's political complexity confuses them. In his office later, Peter made a secure call using Richard Chen's quantum communication device. They granted us 3 months, he told the president. They're arrogant and have clear divisions among themselves. The Meridians seem most uncomfortable with how we're being treated. The president nodded on the screen. Good work, Peter. How would you assess their understanding of humans? Peter smiled slightly. Poor. They see our decentralized governments as primitive. They don't understand that what looks like our weakness is actually our strength. They expect compliance because that's what they always get. They're about to learn differently, the president replied. Operation Earthrise is in progress. Major Conway's team will reach the lunar observation post in 10 hours. Peter looked out his window at the New York skyline. The Council thinks they're dealing with a simple primitive species that will happily accept control. That was their first mistake, the president said. The dark side of the moon was exactly that, dark and silent. The Council's observation post sat on the rim of a crater, a collection of silver domes connected by covered walkways. It had been built to monitor Earth without being seen. Inside Sentinel-3, Major Lisa Conway checked her equipment one last time. Her team of 30 soldiers from different countries watched her closely. "Final briefing," she said. "The observation post has 12 Council staff, a mix of Volari and Ket technicians. No Meridians. Our mission is to secure the facility without casualties. These aliens are not our enemies. They're following orders from their leadership." The ship's pilot spoke over the intercom. "Approaching dark side of the moon. Stealth systems engage. No detection so far." Lisa nodded. "Remember your training. Their gravity is set to their home worlds, so you'll feel heavier in the Volari sections and lighter in the Ket areas. Weapons on stun only." The ship slowed as it approached the lunar surface, landing silently a kilometer from the observation post. Using the moon's low gravity, the team moved quickly across the surface in their advanced spacesuits. "Command, this is Lunar Team," Lisa reported through the quantum communicator. "We are in position." Back on Earth, in the underground command center, Commander Catherine Miller monitored the operation. "Lunar Team, you are clear to proceed." Lisa signaled her team. They split into 3 groups and approached the observation post from different directions. The aliens had good security, but they weren't expecting visitors, especially not humans, who supposedly had no way to reach the moon undetected. Inside the post, a Volari technician named Krell was monitoring Earth communications when an alert flashed on his screen. Something was moving outside. He checked the external cameras but saw nothing. "Security scan," he ordered the computer. Before it could respond, the lights flickered. The emergency systems kicked in, bathing the room in red light. The door slid open. Krell turned, expecting to see his supervisor. Instead, he saw something impossible, a human in an advanced spacesuit, holding an unfamiliar weapon. "Please remain calm," the human said, the words translated by a device on their suit. "We mean you no harm." Similar scenes played out across the observation post as Lisa's team secured each section. Most of the alien staff surrendered immediately, too shocked to resist. In the main control center, the Volari supervisor tried to send a distress signal, but found the communications array already disabled. "Control center secured," Lisa reported after the 15-minute operation was complete. "All personnel accounted for. No casualties." She looked at the stunned aliens being guarded by her team. "They never expected us to have the capability to reach them, let alone breach their systems." Back on Earth, Catherine Miller relayed the news to the president. "Phase 1 complete. The observation post is ours. The Council ship in orbit has no idea." The president nodded. "Begin Phase 2. Across the planet, hidden installations activated. What appeared to be ordinary satellites changed configuration. Weather stations, radio telescopes, and underwater facilities all revealed their true purpose. Parts of a planetary defense grid that had been disguised as civilian infrastructure projects over decades. In her laboratory, Dr. Samantha Ward initiated the power sequence. The alien energy source hummed to life, connecting the global network. "Defense grid online," she reported. "All sectors responding." The grid wasn't just defensive. It created a protective sphere around Earth that could detect and, if necessary, intercept any approaching ships. More importantly, it could jam the Council's communications with their homeworlds. On the Council ship orbiting Earth, the first indication that something was wrong came when they lost contact with their lunar observation post. "Communications failure," a Ket technician reported to the ship's commander. "Diagnostic?" the commander asked. "Unknown interference." Attempting to reestablish. The technician stopped suddenly. "Sir, we're detecting energy signatures around the planet. They weren't there before." "Impossible," the commander said, moving to the screen. "Our scans would have detected any major energy installations. These just activated, sir. And they're using Council technology." The commander stared at the display in shock. Alert the ambassadors immediately. As the council ship scrambled to understand what was happening, Earth's hidden fleet emerged from their secret bases. 6 ships, small compared to the council vessel, but advanced beyond anything Earth was supposed to have. Ambassador Peter Holloway walked into the United Nations meeting room with a calm confidence that hadn't been there before. Behind him stood not just Earth military officers, but 3 figures that made the council representatives freeze in surprise. They were aliens, but not council species. The blue-skinned Volari, Jex, recovered first. What is the meaning of this? How did representatives from the Arcturan, Solus, and Vega systems get to Earth? Peter smiled. We invited them. The room was silent. The council representatives stared at the new aliens, who stared back with equal intensity. Impossible, the Ket representative said. These species are under council protection. They have no deep space capabilities. One of the new aliens, a tall being with silver skin, spoke. That is what the council was led to believe, just as they were led to believe humans had no advanced technology. Peter gestured to the screens on the wall. They showed Earth's defense grid, the captured lunar observation post, and the human fleet surrounding the council ship in orbit. You may have noticed some changes since our last meeting, Peter said. Earth has activated its defensive systems. Your communications with council space are currently blocked. Your observation post is under our control. Your ship is surrounded. The Meridian representative's misty form rippled with what might have been alarm. This is unprecedented. No species has ever rejected council authority. Peter finished. Perhaps it's time someone did. He laid out a datapad on the table. We propose a different arrangement. Earth doesn't recognize your authority to restrict our development or tax our resources. Instead, we offer fair trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. The council representatives were speechless. Your oversight model is obsolete, Peter continued. For too long, the council has claimed to protect developing worlds while actually exploiting them. Our alliance offers member species autonomy and cooperation without domination. He gestured to the new aliens. Several of your so-called protectorates have already expressed interest in joining us. The silver-skinned alien stepped forward. The Arcturans have hidden our technology for 300 years, waiting for allies strong enough to stand with us against council control. This is rebellion, Jex said, his blue skin darkening with anger. This is evolution, Peter replied. The galaxy is changing. The council can change with it or be left behind. In orbit, the council ship captain faced a difficult decision. His sensors showed 6 Earth vessels surrounding his ship. They were smaller but emanated energy signatures similar to council technology. Orders, Captain? His first officer asked. Before he could answer, a message came through from Earth. This is Commander Catherine Miller of Earth Defense. Your ship is not in danger if you take no hostile action. We invite your representatives to new diplomatic talks. The captain hesitated. Nothing in his training had prepared him for this. He had expected to supervise a routine integration, not face a direct challenge to council authority. Stand down weapons, he finally ordered. Monitor and wait. Back in the UN building, Peter watched as the council representatives conferred urgently among themselves. Finally, Jex turned back to face him. The council has existed for 12,000 years. Hundreds of species prosper under our guidance. You cannot simply reject a system that maintains galactic stability. The Meridian representative drifted forward. Perhaps there is room for adjustment. The council has occasionally revised its policies in the past. Peter exchanged glances with the president, who nodded slightly. We are willing to discuss a new relationship with the council, Peter said, but as equals, not subjects. Within days, the news spread throughout the galaxy. Earth hadn't just rejected council control. It had offered an alternative that appealed to dozens of species. The carefully maintained image of council superiority cracked as more protected worlds revealed their hidden capabilities and joined Earth's alliance. 1 month later, in Geneva, representatives from 27 worlds met to form the Interstellar Cooperative Alliance. It was the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. Dr. Alan Wright, who had first detected the alien signal, stood with Commander Catherine Miller watching the proceedings. They thought they were dealing with simply another primitive species, he said, shaking his head in wonder. They never expected that claiming control of Earth would end up reshaping the entire galaxy. Catherine smiled. That was their greatest mistake. They should have studied our history more carefully. What do you mean? Humans have always resisted control, and we've always changed the worlds we touch.